Now, there's all different types of reef that make up the Great Barrier Reef, and what we have at Green Island is called a platform reef. And that refers to the way our reef was formed. Over a long period of time, a lot of coral built up to make this shallow platform with our beautiful coral cay, which is made of coral rubble and sand, in the middle of it. So because of the way our island formed, we have a nice variety of corals. In the Great Barrier Reef, there's almost 600 different types of coral, and more than 400 of those are the hard corals, which is good because they're the reef builders. But at Green Island, we have a variety of hard and soft, and even some of the gorgonians, the fan corals. So out on the deeper edge of the reef, you'll find more of those hard corals that can withstand the strong currents out here. Also in the shallows up near the shoreline, you'll find a lot of the short, spiky, hard acropora coral. And that's because those ones are the only ones that can withstand being exposed to the sun and also the air at the low tide. The soft corals, as their name suggests, are very delicate and fragile. So therefore they like the sheltered areas. We've got some nice finger coral just on the left there, one of our softer corals.
You got it?
So in between those hard corals and in those sheltered areas is where those soft corals like to grow.
Oh, look.
So some of the corals that we've got in this area, folks, if you look down on the right, you'll see quite a few of those flat plate corals. So they're the short, spiky acropora, and they can also form large table corals. There's also quite a few of the round boulder corals on the left and right hand side there. And we've got a few of those that have a texture, so they might look like a brain or the inside of a beehive, a honeycomb coral. Some of the spaghetti coral there on the left hand side, our softest coral in this area. Looks like pasta or noodles moving in the current. We even have some of the branching staghorn coral, and that's the one that looks like antlers of a deer. Now, what is coral? Well, coral is an amazing thing. It's one of the only things on the planet that's animal, plant and mineral all in one.
Little fishes.
Every piece of coral that you see, folks, is home to hundreds, if not thousands, of little animals called coral polyps, and they are what make the coral structure. A coral polyp is exactly the same as a jellyfish, only smaller. Just like a jellyfish, a coral polyp has tentacles and stinging cells, so you can get stung by coral, just like jellyfish. Good reason not to touch it. The little coral polyps live as a colony to help feed each other, and they wave their tentacles around, capturing small particles of food. But most of the energy for the coral comes from the microscopic algae that lives inside of the coral polyps. And there's thousands, if not millions, of these algae in every piece of coral. And these algae, these little tiny plants, well, they use sunlight to grow, just like any plant. We've got some beautiful cabbage leaf coral down on the left there. And you'll notice the way there's some different colours in the coral. Most of the coral is brown or maroon, but every now and then you see purple, green, maybe even blue or pink coral. All of these colours are also caused by that microscopic algae, because just like a jellyfish, a coral polyp is see-through, lacking colour. Now, just like a jellyfish also, the coral polyp, while he's waving his tentacles around, pumps seawater in and out. But he doesn't do this to move around. He does this to extract a mineral from the seawater to build his home. That calcium carbonate, well, with the hard corals, he exudes it, it hardens on the outside like a shell, but with the soft corals, they hold it deep inside, and just like a skeleton, sharp toothpick-like pieces holding it all together. Got a beautiful pink staghorn coral on the left-hand side there.
What are you taking? Oh, so you can measure.
Now, without the mineral structure of the coral polyps would simply break apart and float around on their own. So it's very important that they have this strength and structure. And in fact, that mineral is all that remains when the coral dies. And you can see a lot of these skeletons of dead corals underneath the living corals. That's an important part of the reef building process also, because it provides the foundation and something for the new coral polyps to anchor themselves to and grow their structure on, all the while reaching closer and closer towards the sunlight at the surface of the water. Now you may have noticed lots of little fish hiding in amongst the coral. What do we got down there? A nice big emperor angel fish, I think. Just went behind the bobby, yeah. Very pretty fish. And there's lots of little tiny fish that are actually babies. The Great Barrier Reef acts as a wonderful nursery. So there's some fish species which come here just to have their babies. Those little baby fish can find lots of good hiding places in between the coral.
Where's Nemo?
Where they can stay nice and safe from predators. And there's also a lot of food here for them. So that way they stay safe while they grow big enough to eventually venture into the deeper water. Now I did hear someone ask, where's Nemo? Well, we do have Nemo out here at Green Island, but of course he's hiding in his anemone. So you must find the anemone first and then keep your eyes open to try and spot him darting between the
Parece como
tentacles.
si fuera. ¿Verdad? Parece, ¿verdad?
¿Qué se movió?
¿Eh?
¿Qué se movió?
Look, a whale. Ah, no.
Open up
Now something else you might notice, folks,
Que
is
está abierto.
something that looks like a black fern growing on the top of a lot of these bomboras. And these are what we call feather stars. So they're actually a type of starfish that have black, feathery or ferny arms. And they use those for capturing plankton, because that's what they like to eat. But most starfish like to eat the coral polyps that live in the coral. So it's quite common to see a starfish with his arms wrapped around the coral. Looks like he's giving it a friendly hug while he's actually digesting the animal part of the coral. Now it's a little bit low light today because we've got overcast conditions and it is a little bit stirred up. So it's not as easy to see the colours in the coral, but it's perfect conditions for things like stingrays and reef sharks. The stingrays and the reef sharks are what we call opportunistic feeders. That means that when it's nice and stirred up like this, they have more chance of catching themselves a fish. The rest of the time, they have to settle for the things that live in the sand, things like crustaceans and mollusks. Now, we mostly only get the black-tip and white-tip reef shark around Green Island, and they're definitely not man-eaters, as I say, opportunistic feeders, and they're actually quite timid. So you're very lucky if you do get to see one. Now the sun's trying to shine and we are getting a few more colours coming out in the coral. Got a lot of the brown hard corals on the left there, but every so often there's some nice bright blue staghorn coral as well. And you'll notice as we move into shallower areas, folks, that there is more of the softer corals in those shallows where it's nice and calm and sheltered. Now, the Great Barrier Reef is what we call a World Heritage Marine Park.
Little pescados de
A
grande.
lot of fish on the left-hand side there,
Oh my
folks.
God.
Take a picture.
Ahora
But
no va a
although
salir
it's
nada.
a
No va a
marine
salir.
park, there are still areas on the Great Barrier Reef where you can go fishing. There's even commercial fishing licenses and aquarium fish collection licenses on our Great Barrier Reef. But not around Green Island. This is a conservation area.
Los pescados, mira. Espérate, they want to give me some. Oh, look at this one.
Oh man!
Wow.
Take a picture, take a picture! Oh my god, they're so beautiful!
Holy
Oh my god! Oh, I can't take those pictures! Oh my god, I want those pictures! Oh my god!
Oh my God. Mira que le está cagando. Wow, look at this. Look at this.
Are they feeding them now? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Wow, that's a neat one. I wonder if you can fish around here.
Oh my god!
No, que wow, look at the black one behind you. Whoa.
Tu sais quoi? Je me fais une photo avec moi derrière.
Oh my god, this is just amazing! Oh my god!
Ay, sí. Mira la amarilla, es lindo.
Oh, look at that big one. Que amarillo que pasó por allá. Ay, Eddie, look at that one.
Ah, ¿qué sabrán esos peces?
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay.
Oh.
Ay. I got it. Oh my God. I went diving already.
Claro, esto es puro diving. Ahora ponemos, this is what we saw.
¿Te quedan bien con ese lugar? Desde que está entrando agua, dice.
Eres un estúpido con la lúcula.
They're not friendly, they want to eat you.
The big lips for sifting through the sand, and in the back of their mouth there's large crushing molar teeth, great for crushing up shells. We've also got a lot of the tea leaf trevally, and they're the silvery grey fish with the black tea leaf. Left hand side on the bottom, folks. We've got